I'm Kevin Steele. Welcome back to WE 13 Fair Warning. And we are joined by James White, a longtime friend, a candidate for the office of Agriculture Commissioner of the great state of Texas. Mr. James, so great to see you, sir. How are you?
Kevin, it's like old times, bro.
Just like old times. A longtime state representative who brought integrity to the office and is widely renowned as a man you can work with in the Texas legislature. Always a pleasure to talk with you.
Always about the folks back home in Polk, Tyler, Jasper, Newton, and Hardin counties.
What are your thoughts now on this candidacy just right here? Give me a sort of 30,000 foot view of the candidacy so far. The observers, and I talked to several political observers, the observers so far continue to tell me that they see you everywhere, and they're not going to be surprised with a very great showing here come Tuesday night.
Well, we'll see. We'll see, Kevin. This is definitely all in the voters' hands now.
Mm-hmm.
It's our boss's hands, the voters. I can't tell you how this is going to end.
Right.
Compared to my other races where I could, pull a piece of paper out and show you this. This has been a very different type of race.
Uh-huh.
A lot of undecided voters.
Mm-hmm. Polls show a lot of undecideds.
A lot of undecided, anywhere from almost half to 60%. But we've been blessed to do at least 2 rounds of direct mail.
Yeah.
As the observer said, we've tried to be around the state as much as we can, and it is a huge state, by the way. But it's all in the voters' hands now. We've been endorsed by, the Tea Party, Kingwood Tea Party. We've been endorsed by United Republicans of Harris County. We've gotten, I believe, San Antonio Express, the Houston Chronicle has endorsed us as well. So we got
saying something.
Well, it's sort of a broad base. Okay.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, it's sort of a broad base, but at the end of the day, it's going to be the voters that's going to show up to give us, and it could go either way. It could be tight. It could be a runoff. But we're going to run at 59 p.m. on Tuesday.
I just know a lot of people around the great state of Texas are talking about James White as we come into these final hours of the campaign. You're seeing, I'm sure, what is going on in Ukraine. What are your overall observations about this war?
Well, I'm kind of close to this in a lot of ways. Obviously, I'm a veteran.
Mm-hmm.
And on any time we have the opportunity, we want to thank our veterans, thank the veterans that are watching, thank the ones that have given the ultimate sacrifice to their grateful nation. So as a veteran, training and or being in a war situation, it's serious business.
Mm-hmm.
It's serious business. Looking at the TV screens over the last few days, the humanity that's impacted, the refugees, the parents that are leaving their children behind. So there are going to be some long ramifications. 3 of my 7 years, Kevin, I served in the Berlin Brigade under Ronald Reagan.
Mm-hmm.
During the period, I was in the Berlin Brigade during the demise of the Soviet Union. And it seems like Putin is trying to revive at least the borders of the old Soviet Union. Okay. And the fall of the Berlin Wall. So I have some connections with this. And, if this isn't dealt with in a wise, collaborative way, collaborative among the NATO partners, that is, wise, could get out. And one thing that I'm really worried about, running for the Commissioner of Agriculture, is that there will be some ramifications, Kevin.
Yeah.
As like Texas agriculture.
Right. We see Ukraine as the breadbasket of Europe, and we see the possible loss of enormous amounts of wheat, for example, other commodities that are important to the world. Food supplies already are in short supply in some places and dwindling. Is there any way to insulate Texans to some extent from higher prices from those empty shelves, especially if we begin to see some effects from what's happening in Ukraine?
Absolute great question, Kevin. I had a friend ask me, am I going to do a closing going into the last hours of the race? And I think this is the closing. The agriculture commissioner on the next 4 years, I'm looking at that position in that department, Texas Department of Agriculture, to be very, very critical for the state of Texas. Agriculture, Kevin, agriculture obviously contributes $115 billion to our Texas prosperity, but it also defines us as Texans. It explains also our independence and our freedom. And if you take supply off the table, no pun intended,
Right.
we're on our shelves. Our wives are coming back home and saying, Kevin or James, I couldn't get the cut that you wanted of beef. It's not there.
Yeah.
Okay. That is a serious issue. And it's important for us to have a commissioner that can articulate how these geopolitical issues are impacting us. And then what are we going to do here in Texas? So I will tell you, no, I don't see the agriculture commissioner having any power over the free market in the United States, but getting our stakeholders together. This part of the world, Russia, Ukraine, not only are they the breadbasket for Europe and for their near abroad in the Middle East, they also supply the ingredients for a lot of fertilizers, okay? Natural gas, which is used for a lot of our fertilizers, potash, which is also sort of a soil nutrient, okay? With the uncertainty in that area, we're already seeing where Turkey and other countries are beginning to stop shipping in the Black Sea. Okay. That supply coming off the economic market, okay, will raise prices because of the reducing supply, will raise prices for grains and fertilizers that are already escalating due to inflation, due to supply concerns, will raise those anymore. So as commissioner, I want to make sure we got the right stakeholders around the table with the commodity groups. We have a great trading partner up north, Canada. It's an energy producer. It is a potash producer as well. We want to make sure that we can continue to get the ingredients that we need for fertilizers to make sure that we can continue to produce food efficiently at a great price for the consumers of Texas and for our entire country.
Well, is there, and when you talk about that level of uncertainty, there are other spots, China, for example, where geopolitical concerns are at play for one, and there are areas for Texas producers to kind of cut into the world market. And you've had these, you have some plans on all of this.
Yes. So let's just look at this geopolitical lay of the land. Okay. And it's very fascinating. There are just a few places on God's earth that are really kind of self-sufficient from a geography, agricultural standpoint. We should nightly, daily, maybe hourly, okay, thank the Lord for the blessings of the United States. We have the Midwest where we get reasonable, sufficient amounts of rain. So we're kind of sufficient. When we look at Russia, when we look at China, they don't have the blessings of fertile soil, certainty in their climate where they're getting rain all the time. To your point, when you look at China, over 1 billion people, Okay. Pork is their protein of choice. Okay. Their pork, and we're pork eaters here in the US, but their pork is like our beef as far as, meat protein, right?
Right. Yeah.
And a few years ago, just about 2 or 3 years ago, they had a very widespread disease, that swine flu disease, that they had to take out maybe a third of their swine herd. A third. They're trying to rebuild that swine herd. What do they need to rebuild that swine herd? Well, grains, corn. So now you got some more push and pull factors on that market, right?
Yeah.
So we're going to see some increases in the price there, but also maybe some opportunities for pork producers here in the United States to possibly help China meet its demand. So we have these geopolitical. Obviously, we don't want to get too tunnel vision and just keep it on the geopolitical ramifications, but we have these geopolitical ramifications. The U.S. has great agriculture output, great agriculture environment. We have the prime coastal facilities for ports. Russia and China don't really have this.
Yeah.
Okay. So we can see why they're doing a lot of what they're doing really out of desperation.
Well, I don't know what the other candidates in the race are talking about. I'm glad to see that you're talking on behalf of the Texas consumer and the Texas producer, the Texas farmer, at this late stage of the game.
Right. And could I add something? I think as the next agriculture commissioner, you need a proven conservative that you can trust, obviously, to secure and safeguard this $115 billion industry. But look at agriculture consumers. In Texas, everybody's at least involved in 2 industries. I don't care if you're a school teacher, a small business owner, a farmer, a rancher, or you're in the oil and gas industry. Everybody is in agriculture, and everybody is in the oil and gas industry.
That's just our state. Yeah.
That's state, and it's who we are. Okay. And it's important as the next agriculture commissioner that we level with our consumers. I was very taken by this video in Pennsylvania a few weeks ago, maybe several days ago, where there was literally this food riot in the buffet restaurant in Pennsylvania over the last few pieces of steak. Why is this happening? Because we're seeing these shortages at the grocery store. Our restaurants are experiencing these shortages. You go in, I've noticed the reduction of menu items on some of the restaurants I go into. I don't know about you.
Yeah.
This long and now it's this long. And it's important for Texans to know that at least 30% of the beef production for the entire country, United States, is within a 100 to 150 mile radius of Amarillo, right here in Texas.
Yep.
You have a robust market in the coastal bend around Victoria, a robust market in South Texas. So we need to make sure that we're encouraging more small commercial meat processors. Right now, our farmers and ranchers are kind of held hostage by these 4 big multinational meat processors that have this monopoly power. They're sucking all the profits from our farmers and ranchers. We want to facilitate more small commercial or cooperative meat processors where our farmers can keep those profits, instead transfer those savings actually to the consumer. Because we got a situation here where Texas ranchers are not getting those high prices you see in the store.
Yeah.
And getting socked with the high prices. Okay. It's because there's no competition at the meat processing level. So we got to get these small commercial regional processors online to compete with the big boys, and they can. Okay. And also, we need to be encouraging our East Texas and West Texas and South Texas ranchers to partner with Texas consumers to say, hey, maybe three more of your relatives, Steve. Excuse me, Kevin, or maybe three neighbors. Go in with a Texas rancher, and you quarter that calf. Okay,
Mhm.
directly with the rancher and the processor, and you have your fresh beef.
Yep.
For the year and a half. These are the discussions we need to be having. When you get this biting inflation, okay, that's not transitory. Okay,
Yeah.
it seems kind of stationary. And I'm talking to people in the industry that are saying, James, this could go well beyond this year, this food price inflation.
Right.
Folks are asking, James, does my family, do we need to have a small family garden in Houston or Dallas or San Antonio? We need to level and say, yes, I think you need to look at that. Please go down to your extension agent in your county to get your soil test, to know how to build up your compost, all of that. So we need to have these discussions on how we supplement our food at the table and become more independent and self-sufficient in Texas.
We're actually talking about that in this. It's kind of remarkable, that we are talking in those terms in this day and age, but we are. And I'm glad that you are looking at these substantive issues as opposed to some of this now. Having said that, I have to ask you, I would be remiss if I didn't ask about allegations against the incumbent in the Ag Commissioner's office about the integrity of some of his staff. I have to ask if you have any views on this question.
Well, it's directly related to what we're talking about here. The agriculture commissioner is responsible for promoting this industry, protecting agriculture consumers like you and I, wife. At the grocery store with the scales, which the department certifies and licenses. This department is responsible for feeding our children that are eligible for the National School Lunch Breakfast Program.
Mm-hmm.
This department is responsible for so much, and it's important that you have a commissioner that you can trust. And, when you find out after 2 years that farmers and ranchers have been crying out about the commissioner's consultant, who also moonlights as a lobbyist, was bribing farmers and ranchers, promising certain select farmers and ranchers that he could get them access into the department, that brings questions on everything. Okay, when that grocery store clerk, when he or she puts that bag of tomatoes on the scale, you have to wonder, okay, I think I got 3 pounds, but she's saying it's maybe, or he's saying it's maybe 3.5 pounds. Can I trust that scale?
Right.
Was there money in envelopes going in the ag department for certain people?
We want that level of confidence, as consumers.
You have to have the confidence. And here's another thing. We're getting into a phase. We have these geopolitical inflection points around the world. You have to have the confidence that the commissioner is totally focused on agriculture issues, mm-hmm. and focus on his buddy getting indicted, or if there are other indictments coming down the pipe.
I would be happy to disagree with you. I can't disagree in the slightest. James White, thank you so much.
We're all ag consumers. Uh-huh. The granaries are certified. The seeds that go into the ground, they have to be certified. And if you're a producer and you've got a sack of seed that is supposed to yield a certain level of cotton, you want to hope that if it's certified by the Texas Department of Agriculture, it's the real deal.
Yeah.
And there are probably questions in the back of many people's minds about some of these things. Because
I can't wait to talk with you on Wednesday, my friend. I appreciate so much your time. And I really appreciate the fact that you're looking at these substantive issues as opposed to some of the well, it'll be a headline, but sometimes people get boiled down in politics and get away from some of the real issues that really affect us out here. And
Right.
I just appreciate your candor.
Yeah, and when I look at the ag commissioner, we can disagree with past ag commissioners on different issues different decisions they made in the department. But when you look at former agriculture commissioner Rick Perry, former agriculture commissioner Susan Combs, former agriculture commissioner Todd Staples. Just as you have to have some type of tangential connection with agriculture. I'm a small beef producer. I'm a sixth generation Texan. And just like these previous commissioners, they were focused on agriculture. Did you know that the free and reduced lunch program in our public schools, our charter schools, and our child care centers, that is the largest program that the department does? It's about 90% of the revenue, that the tax revenue that the department spends and feed kids every day at school. That's the biggest program. And we've got to get laser focused on these agriculture issues, because I can see it. I know that agriculture in the future, Kevin, for the state of Texas in the next 4 years is going to be an issue of primacy.
Yeah.
Right up there with oil and gas.
Our day is changing, isn't it? Thank you so much for your time, Brad.
Thank
really
you, my friend.
Appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
We'll see you soon.
See you. Likewise.